There is no gasoline left in the state here. The same situation in several states around the country. The gasoline shortages have left 9 airplanes at least grounded. They had to cancel flights, one of them going to Miami today. And, you know, there's shortages in stores and elsewhere. Schools were closed today. People just can't fill their tanks. And people are kind of staying at home, but they're also filling up and stocking up because they don't know, even with, you know, Temer's calling of, you know, the National Guard out to clear the roads, they still aren't sure how long this is going to go on for.
Yes, we are hearing that a deal or some sort of a deal has been struck with the truckers. Can you tell us more about that? Will it end this protest?
Right. So the deal was made last night between the government and unions related to the truckers or trucker representatives. Now, it did not include the Brazilian Trucking Association, which is the major one that called for the strike and that represents roughly 600,000 truckers around the country. So that's an issue because due to the fact that they were not involved in that deal. The truckers that I've been kind of with the last day and a half have said that they weren't going to listen to that deal at all. So I don't, you know, that might affect certain trucking businesses and certain trucks around the country, but it definitely doesn't affect the majority. Now, what we just had a couple of hours ago was the Brazilian Trucking Association came out and said that they wanted their people to start to clear the blockades. Now, it's important to understand a little bit here. The blockade in many places, for instance, where I was, there wasn't necessarily a blockade. There was a very short blockade. The cars could go around it and continue on. But then any trucks themselves, when they got off the road, they would have to go through inspection from the truckers themselves who would not let them go any forward. Now, I spoke with truckers just about a half hour ago, an hour ago. They said those trucks can continue to move, or anybody that wants to get on the road, they can do it. But a lot of truckers are concerned because a lot of their own members were, you know, willing to take out, you know, sticks and rocks in order to stop the truckers from actually moving. So there's a lot of fear here and intimidation to actually stop the strike from stopping it. And that's the big question here going forward.
And tell us more about the truckers' grievances. Are there concerns about the price of diesel valid, and is there any public sympathy at all for them?
Well, they're valid, absolutely. The price of diesel has risen enormously over the last year. A lot of them, you know, they've doing the math, and they were trying to explain to me today just exactly how it works out. And after you've paid for diesel and everything else, you have almost nothing left over. So for them, this is a really, really big issue. And actually, there's a lot of sympathy because the price of gasoline has continued to rise and diesel as well. And it also has to do with the government that's been adding taxes on this over the short term. And they also let the price float for a long time. Petrobras had to adjust in order to keep the price in fluctuations down to a minimum, and they kind of let that float over the last few months, and that's added to the concerns. There is a lot of support. Almost everyone I've spoken with actually supports this trucker strike. They blame the Temer government for not resolving it and for not, you know, giving in to demands, because everyone believes that gasoline should be cheaper here, and particularly due to the fact that in Brazil has one of the largest reserves, at least in Latin America, and yet the price of gasoline and the price of diesel is so high.